Hi y'all, Kraken Latte here. Welcome back to Dragonflight Alpha! We are again, of course, with professions, because that's pretty much what I'm really excited for, and at least what I can do in Alpha right now, because everything else is either really heavily spoilers that I don't necessarily need to share with you folks, or it's dungeons and stuff, and I don't really do that, so. This time we're looking at specializations again, but this time of inscription and skinning. So, more specialization stuff. Gonna look at their trees and see what they offer. Now, I tried my dangdest to get inscription to 100. I spent multiple hours milling because the create all for mill is still broken, so you gotta do it one at a time, and I'm running out of time. I need to get on. So luckily we don't have to have max inscription to look at the stuff that's available, and at least right now, if it stays this way, it seems that each of these, like when you unlock it, it doesn't seem to unlock more in the tree, but that might be something that comes later, I don't know. So luckily we can still look at it without actually leveling the profession. So we're just gonna start with Rune Mastery. I can learn a couple of them at least. And we have Rune Mastery at its base. This is improve at the art of inscription and fortify your ability to process resources economically, as well as improve the overall quality of all your crafts. So that's pretty cool. So let's add a whole bunch of knowledge to that. Yum, 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 yum. And of course, again, I have my lovely knowledge item here. You know, I just read the flavor text on this item. It says, "You feel like a filthy cheater just holding this, but surely nobody will judge you for taking a peek." I appreciate that, Blizzard. Thank you. Alright, so the first node here, Rune Mastery. Improve at the art of inscription and utilizing various reagents, including +1 crafting skill per point in this specialization. Alright, so we have on the ring over here, just like on the previous ones, we're going to read through everything and see what they do. So, +3 crafting skill when making inscription goods, +3 crafting skill, learn a sub, +3 crafting skill, learn a sub, +4 crafting skill, learn a sub. Crafting inscription goods is 10% faster. Very handy. +10 resourcefulness and +10 inspiration when making inscription goods. And then the final one, unlock the final subspec. +10 resourcefulness and +10 inspiration when making inscription goods. So, now, we can pick one of our subs. Let's see, perfect practice. Craft items more effectively, gaining +1 crafting skill per point in this specialization. On unlocking this spec, resourcefulness saves 5% additional reagents when crafting inscription goods. Well, that's certainly handy because I can definitely tell you right now that as you are leveling the base part of your profession, you are very much intended, I believe, to pick one or two, you know, because you can learn it at 25 and 50. 25, 50, and 100 is when you can pick your three specializations here. You're definitely meant to pick a couple as you're leveling this, because without them, oh boy, it took me so long to mill thousands and thousands of herbs. I still didn't get what I needed for everything, and it's like, okay. So you are definitely meant to use these while you level. Can confirm. So yeah, so this would be good. So that is good to know. This is not just a once you hit, you know, max profession thing. This is meant to be upped while you level, so that's good. Very good, because, you know, I like that interconnectivity, and it lets you learn stuff while you're going, because you're not focusing on just this to get to 100 and then you can start learning these. You're meant to do both, and I can definitely tell. And this would have helped a lot. I would have had to have milled a lot less, probably 5% less according to this, because oh boy, I had to do a lot. Alright, so let's juice this one up and read what everything does. So, resourcefulness saves 5% additional reagents when crafting inscription goods, plus 10 resourcefulness, another 10% additional reagents. It saves 10% additional reagents when crafting inscription goods, plus 10 resourcefulness, another 10% on resourcefulness, plus 10 resourcefulness, and then resourcefulness saves 25% additional reagents. Yeah, I would definitely want perfect practice, because hot diggy. I needed so many mats. It was ridiculous. Like, I didn't show it because, you know, it takes a while to try to level this up, and I don't need to level it up, but I like to. So, whatever. So, Infinite Discovery is the next node here, our next sub-spec. Become a more inspired scribe, gaining +1 crafting skill per point in this specialization. On unlocking this spec, Inspiration grants 5% additional crafting skill when making inscription goods. So, I'm gonna learn this sub. Juice it up. Like, we don't even need, I don't need to put all these points into it because I can read everything without it, but like, I don't know. I feel like I want to, like, just in case, like, something else appears. I don't think it will at this point, but, you know, to be seen, to be seen. So, this is Inspiration grants 5% additional crafting skill when making inscription goods. Plus 10 inspiration, 10% additional crafting, plus 10 inspiration, 10% additional crafting, plus 10 inspiration. Inspiration grants 25 additional crafting when making inscription goods. So, very similar. This is very much a resourcefulness, like it says here, you know, fortify your ability to process resources economically and improve your quality. That's what this one is. So while this one doesn't seem that exciting, this is the one that saves you mats and time because it improves all that. So good to know. Now we have Understanding Flora. Improve at milling, thank goodness, various herbs in the Dragon Isles, gaining +1 resourcefulness per point in this spec. On unlocking this specialization, +5 resourcefulness when milling Dragon Isles herbs. Yeah, good golly. Good golly gosh darn. Yeah, take this one, Rune Mastery, while leveling. Just take it from me. Good grief. You will want this. So we have Understanding Flora. What's in this one? So, +5 resourcefulness when milling, +10 multi-craft when milling. That would be nice. +10 resourcefulness when milling, +20 multi-craft when milling, and milling is 10% faster, 10% +10 resourcefulness when milling Dragon Isles herbs. Yeah, so definitely take Rune Mastery if this stays the same, you know, when this goes live, to level your inscription. You're gonna want it, trust me. Oof. Alright, now we have Flawless Inks. Improve at crafting various inks used in inscription, gaining +1 inspiration per point in this specialization. On unlocking this specialization of +5 inspiration when crafting inks. Alright. So juice this up real quick and see what it does. We have +5 inspiration when crafting inks, +10 multi-craft, +10 inspiration, +10 multi-craft. Crafting inks is 10% faster, and multi-craft grants up to 50% additional items when crafting inks. So that is Rune Mastery. Now this doesn't sound like it's, you know, that exciting, which I guess it isn't, but this is the one, like it says, it improves how you do your milling and your crafting significantly. And let me tell you, this is the one you want from leveling, unless one of the other two is better to pick first, but definitely this one to pick first. Hot damn. Uh-oh. 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 Hold on, everyone. Alpha being alpha. Alpha. Gotta love the DCs and the bugs. Apologies, everyone. Getting back. Let me take a sip. There we go. We're back in order. Luckily, it doesn't take too long. Okay. Where was I? Right. Archiving. So that was Rune Mastery. We looked at that. Now we're on archiving. Wow. That's This must be where the juicy stuff is. So let's see. Yeah, we'll just learn this one. It's fine. We can't learn the third one because you need 100, and I only have 66. But, you know, I will keep these characters in case there are changes later, and I can level them up, and so I can, you know, take everything and play with it later, because when the order system comes in later for crafting, I need to test all that. I'm really excited for that. So, you know, don't worry. This isn't just me leveling because reasons. It's also because reasons. Anyway, archiving. Specialize in cultivating and archiving various texts throughout the Dragon Isles, such as missives, treaties. I never knew how to say that properly. Treaties or treatises? Like, I know treaty is a word, but is that the same word? Treatises? You know what? I'm gonna look this up right now. I'm going to solve this right now. Treatises. Am I just wrong? Because I've heard it said both ways. Treaties. Treaties? Treaties. Yeah, treaties. It says it. There's an S in it for pronunciation. Treaties. Huh. Okay. Yeah, treaties. Well, anyway, moving on. So, missives, treaties, and how to harness the unkempt power of various trinkets. So, let's look at archiving. Archiving looks pretty big, so this one's got some juice. This one's got some meat. Improve the art of archiving various texts, gaining +1 crafting skill per point in the specialization. Next major bonus rank at rank 5. +5 inspiration when making archiving goods. Alright. So let's fill this boy up. Juice, 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 juice. Alright. Learn to use optional reagents to upgrade item level on Darkmoon deck boxes. Alright. Inspiration. You know what? I couldn't learn the Darkmoon decks. Is this how you learn them? Oh, this is how you get some of the remaining... Yep. Okay, we'll look at that in a second. But there were some recipes I could not learn. The vendor didn't have them, and the trainer didn't have them. And it doesn't say on it where they come from. So, okay, duh. But I didn't want to look at it yet. I wanted to look at it with you guys, so here we are. Okay, so, getting excited here. Learn to use optional reagents to upgrade item level on Darkmoon deck boxes. Alright, so that's good. We have plus inspiration when making archiving goods. Learn a sub. +5 resourcefulness. Learn a sub. +5 inspiration. And learn the final sub specialization. Archiving crafts are 10% faster. And +10 inspiration when making archiving goods. Excellent. Take another sip. It's very hot today. It's getting hot again today. Whew. Alright, so we have Darkmoon Mysteries, Shared Knowledge, and Scale Sigils. Why don't we work backwards? So, Scale Sigils. Improve at crafting the various sigils that alter the effects of your Darkmoon deck box, gaining +1 crafting skill per point in the specialization. On unlocking this specialization, learn a sub of your choice. So, learn this. That opened up a whole bunch of stuff. Alright. So, and if you want to, remember, if you want to look at all the recipes and like what they do, that's the previous video to this one. I do recipes and specializations separately because they take so long to look at everything because there's just so much. So, alright, so Scale Sigils. This is, I think I read that already, but I'll read it again. Improve at crafting the various sigils that alter the effects of your Darkmoon deck box, gaining +1 crafting skill per point in this specialization. So we have learn a sub, learn a sub, learn a sub, learn a sub, learn a sub. Alright, real exciting on that one. So first we have the Azure Scale Sigil. Learn to craft a sigil apparently, resembling the blue Dragonflight, gaining +1 crafting skill per point in this specialization. Neat. Okay. So, learn to craft Azure Scale Sigil, +5 resourcefulness when making the sigil, and +5 inspiration when making the sigil. So, This is probably going to be the same. Let me slide through these for Ember Scale, Sage Scale, yes, Bronze Scale, and Jet Scale. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay, so I will juice all these up, but they are the same. They just teach you the 5 different sigils related to the flight. And if you want to see what those sigils do, I go over them in the recipes video prior to this one. So now we know all 5 sigils. That's where those recipes come from. So that's good to know. All right, so let's hop over to shared knowledge. What's this do? This is improve at unveiling the lore stored in the Dragon Isles and the ability to share that knowledge. Gain +1 resourcefulness per point in this specialization. Okay, that's cool. +5 resourcefulness when making missives and treaties. Alright. Cool. Learned this bad boy here. Juice it all the way up. And what's this do? +5 resourcefulness when making missives and treaties. +5 resourcefulness. Learn a sub. +5 resourcefulness and +10 multi-craft. Learn a sub. Missives and treaties craft 5% faster. +5 resourcefulness when making missives and treaties. And missives and treaties craft 10% faster and +10 resourcefulness. Very neat. So that just juices those up a tiny bit. So, Draconic Treaties is a sub under this one. Become an expert at crafting the Draconic Treaties associated with various professions, gaining +1 resourcefulness per point in this specialization. Alright, learn to craft Draconic Treaties on Inscription. So, oh, this recipe, this one was on the vendor, but it told me I just couldn't use it for some reason. And I was like, why? Why wouldn't it let me use that? Is that a bug? This is why. Not all the tooltips and everything are accurate, and obviously this isn't something you're supposed to be able to buy from a vendor, but the Tauren here, you know, offer a lot for us to be able to test things. But they're not always, alright. They're not always, you know, they don't really tell you what's going on. They just give you the stuff. So, oh boy, alpha today. It's a Friday, man. Please don't make me have to cut this. Please. Please, please, please. Please don't make me have to cut this. Ah! Okay, one more try. Come on. You know you want to, Alpha. Please. Thank you. There we go. Okay, we're good. We're good. Oh, yeah. One of those days. Luckily, it's short enough I don't have to cut this out of the video for you. So, okay. Take 3. I'm sorry. Alright, back to what we were doing, because we read that. Now, missives. The missives sub-spec here. We have become an expert at crafting Dragon Isles missives, gaining +1 crafting skill per point in this spec, and +5 inspiration when making missives. So, juice this all up. Alright, +5 inspiration when making missives, +5 inspiration, and also missives craft 10% faster. I like the faster crafting. That's certainly nice. It's like if you're going to be actually using these to build commerce and trade and, you know, actually make gold, or even just for yourself, but making a lot of them, or your guild maybe, you know, making them for your guild. The increased speed is very nice. +5 inspiration, 10% faster, +5 inspiration, and +10 multi-craft, and 10 inspiration. So, very nice, very nice. Okay, now we have the fun stuff. We looked at the Darkmoon deck stuff, and they looked really neat. So here are the Darkmoon Mysteries stuff. Improved at understanding the complex mysteries behind Darkmoon cards, gaining +1 crafting skill per point in this spec. Alright. So we'll juice this one up here. Juice. Alright. This does learn a sub, +5 crafting skill when making Darkmoon deck boxes. Learn a sub. +5 crafting. Learn a sub. Darkmoon deck boxes craft 10% faster. +10 inspiration. Yeah. Learn a sub. Learn to use reagents like blotting, sand, and pounce. Alright, interesting names to further improve your crafts. And learn to craft the Darkmoon booster pack. Alright, so we got that recipe now. Fun. And now we have all these different Darkmoon thingies. We have fire. Learn to harness the burning components of certain Darkmoon cards and craft a more powerful version of your Darkmoon deck. Gaining +1 crafting skill per point in this spec. And then on unlocking, learn to craft Darkmoon deck box Inferno. So, very cool. So, let's get this all the way here. Alright. Learn to craft Darkmoon deck Inferno. +5 inspiration. Learn to bind powerful scale sigils. That's these over here that we learned. That customize how your deck shuffles cards. Which again, if you want to see those recipes, I read all about that in the recipe version for this video. And I've already done it, so you can go watch it. +5 inspiration. This one's not done. Learn to extract awakened fire from Darkmoon cards. That would be kind of nice. Increased chance to find Darkmoon cards of fire, and learn to use special finishing reagents that improve crafting quality of the Darkmoon Inferno box thingy. Very nice. So, I'm going to bet this is the same thing. This is frost, so this is frigid components. Air is flowing components. Earth is earthen components. So we'll juice all these up, but I can pretty much bet that it's going to be the same type of stuff. Watcher, +5 inspiration, scale sigils, inspiration, awakened earth, find Darkmoon cards of earth, and finishing reagents. Yes. So these are likely all the same, just for their respective element. Which is fine. Which is totally fine because, you know, on one hand, well, it's like, it's kind of samey. On the other hand, you wouldn't really want to unbalance that too much, or it's going to be like, well, fire's the better one because it gets all this stuff, and frost only gets plus skill or something, you know? So. Okay, Darkmoon deck box. Rhyme. Scale sigils, +5 inspiration, awakened frost, cards of frost, and rhyme deck box. Yep. Okay, so that's all the same. Okay, so we can't learn rune binding yet. I will have to up that later for testing, future testing. But we can still read everything, so it's okay. So, rune binding. Specialize in binding powerful runes into your equipment. Used in both professions and combat, as well as crafting the most powerful equipment to take down the strongest foes the Dragon Isles has to offer. So, we will read all this. Rune binding. Improve the art of inscription and utilizing various reagents, gaining +1 crafting skill. Oh no, here comes the wind again. It's not as loud as it was before, so we'll leave it for now. In the specialization. Unlocking the specialization, learn to use optional reagents to upgrade item level on staves. So this is for staff weapons. Staves. So, on the little ring here, we have learn to use optional reagents to upgrade item level on staves. +5 resourcefulness when making rune binding goods. Learn a sub. +5 resourcefulness. Learn a sub. +5 inspiration. Rune binding goods craft 10% faster, +15 inspiration, and +15 resourcefulness when making rune binding goods. So then we can go down to a sub down here, Runic Scripture. Improve at binding complex runes into staves and profession tools, gaining +1 inspiration per point in this specialization. We have learned to use optional reagents to specify the secondary stats on various codexes. And everything in here, we have optional reagents to specify the secondary stats on various codexes. Alright. +5 inspiration when making codexes, Vantis Runes, and Fauna Runes. Neat. Learn a sub. plus 10 inspiration. Learn a sub. Runic Scripture goods craft 10% faster. Thank you. Another speed increase. I sucker for speed increases. Plus 10 inspiration when making Runic Scripture goods. And learn the final sub spec and learn to use special finishing reagents that improve crafting quality in Runic Scripture goods. Whew, that's a mouthful. Alright, and under this one we have 3 subs. So the top one is Fauna Runes. Become an expert at deciphering runes associated with Dragon Isle's fauna, gaining +1 crafting skill per point in this specialization. +5 resourcefulness when making Fauna Runes. So, Fauna Runes. With these, we get +5 resourcefulness, and a +5 inspiration. +10 resourcefulness and +10 inspiration. Moons, yeah. Fauna Runes craft 10% faster, +10 multi-craft, and Fauna Runes craft 5% faster, +25 crafting speed when making Fauna Runes. So double speed there. Learn to use special finishing reagents that improve crafting quality of your Fauna Runes. And then we have Vantis Runes. So this is probably going to be the same stuff, just for Vantis Runes. Yes, it looks like it is. And then we have codexes. And it possibly... this one... yeah, those two are similar, but this one's a little different. So let's read this one more. Improve at binding codex runes into various codexes, gaining +1 crafting skill point in this spec. Let me take a sip here. Getting a little dry. I am ready for summer to be over, man. Alright, unlocking this specialization, +5 crafting skill. So, what does this do? +5 crafting skill, +5 crafting skill, +10 inspiration. That wind. I'm ignoring it though. +15 inspiration and +15 resourcefulness. +10 inspiration in making codexes. Learn to use special finishing reagents that improve quality, and +15 inspiration when making codexes. Alright, so wood carving. So here's some of that wood carving stuff I was talking that I would like to see more of. Like, we have a little bit of it for Inscription, but I definitely want to see more of it, which would be really cool. So, the wood carving sub-spec. Improve at binding complex runes into staves and profession tools, gaining +1 resourcefulness per point in this spec. On unlocking this specialization, learn to use optional reagents that specify the secondary stats on various wood carving goods. Cool. So, learn to use optional reagents, +5 inspiration, learn a sub, +5 inspiration, learn a sub. Wood carving goods craft 10% faster, +10 inspiration. And learn the final sub. Wood carving crafts are 5% faster and +0 unlock reagent slot. That part's not done. When making rune or wood carving goods. So, very cool. Then we have staves and profession tools under this, it looks like. So, staves. Become an expert at crafting various profession tools. Gaining, you know, I just have to say this. It's on my mind. Staves is proper for multiple staffs. I had a friend once, a former friend of mine, who always tried to correct me when I said staves, because that's the plural for staff. Like, you know, hoof is hooves, roof is roofs. You know, it changes the word a little bit when there's plural. Staves, staff, it's the same thing. She always tried to tell me, no, it's staffs. And I'm like, I mean, you can say that, but it's not technically proper. And here it is in the game. If I still knew her, I would rub it in her face. She'd have to look at it. I know I'm cynical sometimes, but anyway, I just think it's funny. So here we go. Become an expert at crafting various profession tools, gaining +1 crafting skill per point in this specialization, and +5 crafting skill when making staves. So, under this one we have +5 crafting skill, +5 crafting skill, +10 inspiration, +10 inspiration, and +10 resourcefulness. learn to craft Weathered Explorer's Stave. So that's neat. We saw that recipe. It was pretty neat looking. I like the cosmetic look of that. Am I able to look at it from this mode? No, it doesn't look like it. That's okay. Learn to use special finishing reagents that improve crafting quality of your staves, and plus 15 inspiration when making staves. So that's all about staves. Staffs. Profession tools. Become an expert at crafting various profession tools, gaining +1 crafting skill per point in this spec, +5 crafting skill when making profession tools. So that's definitely nice. Alright, we have +5 crafting skill when making profession tools, +5 crafting skill when making profession tools. Learn to craft Scribe's Resplendent Squill. Squill? It's a squill now. Scribe's Quill. Squill. Yes. It's a squill. I'm keeping that. +10 inspiration when making profession tools. And learn to use special finishing reagents. Alright, so that is that. Not as exciting as some of the other ones we've looked at, but again, like I said in the recipes video for Inscription, Inscription is very cool at its core. I love the kind of the lore RPG feel of it, but it really does need more to add to it. But I can't criticize too much, because besides adding like wood carving, or maybe getting a little wilder with like, you know, enchanting rune things, Inscription to me, I can't give a lot of like feedback on it, because it's very similar if you try to get creative with it to something like enchanting or even jewel crafting. Like there's lines that they bleed between there, and I'd have to do a lot of thinking on it, and I'm sure the dev team is as well, because poor Inscription, it does need some love. This is a good step in the right direction. I like where they're going with this, with the Rune Mastery, the archiving, the rune binding. This is looking good. It just does feel a teeny bit boring compared to others, but you know, what else could you do with it? It gets a little difficult, it gets a little dicey. So that, I like the look of this. So that is Inscription. We're going to go ahead and jump into Skinning, which I did not level because I tried to do these recipes, but the vendor does not have these recipes, which means I probably have to go out and skin on a character to get these recipes. I think Legion had some recipes like that as well. They weren't necessarily like, you know, crafting recipes, but they were additional little recipe type things you had to get out in the world while crafting, while skinning. And I have another character I am doing this on currently. I have not had any luck with it yet. I'm slowly leveling Skinning when I have time. But at the very least, we can't look at the specializations, which kind of drives me nuts. Okay, so now we can look at the Skinning specializations, because I had to go out and level my skinning, and of course the only way to do that is by skinning things. I didn't level it fully, leveled it just enough to be able to look at these. For now, I'll level it fully later. And there didn't seem to be any items on the vendor that teach you knowledge, that gives you knowledge for this profession, so I can't do that, but we can at least look at everything. So, we have Tanning, Harvesting, and Baitcrafter, which I just think is super cool, by the way, that Specializations is going to be on the gathering professions as well. So, Tanning. We have specialize in gathering raw, general materials such as leather, scales, and hides from the creatures of the Dragon Isles. So, these are all very basic, it looks like, but I still appreciate that they're here nonetheless. They weren't left out on that, so that's pretty cool. Specialization Tanning, +1 crafting while skinning. On unlocking the specialization, you have a small chance, probably, to gather hides while skinning non-rare and non-elite creatures. So, Actually, let's look at the ring on that one first. So over here, you have small change, did it there too. Together hides while skinning non-rare and non-elite creatures. +5 deafness while skinning. Learn a sub. +5 finesse while skinning. Learn to refine hides. Ah, yep, see, there's the recipes. There's where I couldn't. Yep, so this'll teach me these recipes. Yep. That's what'll do it. So that you could possibly level that way too. I don't know. We'll find out. I can't test it right now. So, +5 finesse. Learn to refine hides. Learn the final sub. +5 perception while skinning. +5 deafness. And learn to refine hides. Rank 2. So remember, you can't see it here, but... Well, I say remember, but I don't know if I ever said that. I've noticed the gathering professions have different stats, I guess, is what they are. So we have, you know, deafness, finesse, perception, which is interesting. So, that's interesting. But yes, so this perception, deafness, and learn to find hides too. So we have scale mastery, and leather mastery. So under scale mastery, +1 crafting skill, and this is learn to refine scales. Learn to refine scales rank 1, +5 perception, +5 crafting skill when skinning scaled creatures, +5 deafness. Learn to refine scales rank 2. +5 finesse, +5 crafting skill while skinning scaled creatures, +5 perception, and +10 crafting skill when skinning scaled creatures. So now we have leather mastery, which is probably the same setup. This is just refined leather instead of refined scales, which it looks like it's all the same type of stuff, same setup. It's just for leather. Very nice. So now we have harvesting. And the reason I haven't learned one yet is because I can only learn one, and I want to pick the one that's going to help me level it. So, because I do need to level these, because when the order system comes around, like I mentioned in the inscription part, I want to test all this. I want to see what we can do with it. And to do that, I need fully functioning professions for Dragonflight. So, harvesting. Specialize in harvesting specialized materials from creatures you skin, such as morsels for fishing lures, meats for cooking, and species-specific materials needed by crafters. So, this increases all the special stuff. +1 deafness while skinning, and this one's not done. Unlocking this specialization, your knowledge of anatomy gives you an upper hand, increasing your damage against beasts and dragonkin while outdoors in the Dragon Isles. Well, that's interesting. Now you could look at that and go, oh, but it's a damage increase. Yes, but you gotta remember what skinning does. We don't get herbs and ore nodes, you know, just to go touch and interact with as skinners. NPCs, mobs, baddies are skinning nodes, if you want to look at it that way. You have to go kill them. You have to go make your nodes. So this, I approve of. This is really nice because that'll make skinning faster and easier. So that's, I think, very handy and a very good idea. So under that ring, we have, we read that part, +5 deafness, learn a sub, +5 finesse. Let's see, this increases your damage more against beasts and dragonkin. Learn a sub, +5 perception, learn the final sub, and while skinning creatures in the Dragon Isles, your work sometimes will attract scavengers. These scavengers will flee from you, but may drop additional things if defeated. Well, that's kind of neat. So it's like a little gold goblin, a treasure goblin type of sort of thing. That's kind of neat. I like that idea. A fun little extra thing to look out for. They kind of sort of did this with, like, I believe it was herbalism. Mining had it too. Sort of. Yeah, they both did in Legion. When you herb or mine something, depending on what it was, like the foxflower, it had a chance to spawn a fox, which would run around and drop flowers everywhere, and you had to go pick them up, and it was just extra free, fun little foxflowers that you could pick up. Sometimes mining like fell slate would spawn one of those fell slate basilisks, and you could mine the basilisk, for more fell slate. So this sounds like kind of like that, so that's kind of neat. I like that idea. Very cool. Taking a lot of inspiration from the Legion stuff. Like, the Legion professions, they wanted to be cool. But I can tell you that doing those quest lines, needing to do them, just to even do anything, what didn't feel great. Like, it was cool the first time, but I feel like a questline like that should be to unlock something special, like they did in BFA for the special crafting profession related stuff. Which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Silas's Sphere's one of them for alchemy. And when you got your profession in BFA to max, in a later patch, they added a questline for some of them that gives you a really special item you can craft that has a little quest line with it and stuff like that. So that's when I like better. I don't like when it's a full quest line that requires you to do the whole dang thing just to use this. So this is a better iteration of that, and it's taking the good elements that were in some of those. So anyway, so Trophy Collector. +1 perception while skinning. On unlocking this specialization, gain increased chance to gather special materials while skinning. Alright. So, +5 deafness, +5 finesse, +5 deafness, +10 perception, +5 deafness, +5 finesse, +5 deafness, and a master of finding rare and special materials, you gain a +25 perception while skinning. I don't know what those special materials are. It doesn't seem to say. But it also says it's not yet done. Not yet implemented, I think is what NYI means. Could be wrong. It's a guess. It just means it's not done, basically. So, that's cool. Meat Carver. Man, those birds. The ambience in Dragon Isles is... I'm a big fan of ambience. If you've seen any of the ambience videos on my channel, I know they don't get a lot of views, but I like doing them because I love ambience. I like just listening to it. And since the music isn't implemented yet in Dragon Isles, it's just ambience. And the ambience is gorgeous. Let's listen to those birds, man. Anyways, getting lost in the moment here. Meat Carver. Improve your ability to harvest meat from certain creatures of the Dragon Isles, gaining a slightly increased chance to find meat while skinning per point in this specialization. Okay. So, on unlocking this specialization, gain an increased chance to gather meat while skinning. So, this is handy. I like that that they include just meat, I guess. Butchering. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. In skinning, because, you know, you're gonna do both realistically. Because you're already skinning the beast. You're not just gonna let the meat and the bones, like, and everything there just sit there. You're gonna utilize it. So I like that they're including that again with skinning. We saw this in both Legion and BFA, and I like that they're continuing it. Past skinning might have had some of it too, but, you know, it was just kind of a default thing. It wasn't really something you had to, like, they put out separately. So I like that they're calling this out separately here. Alright, so we have finesse. Gain a small increased chance to gather meat while skinning. +5 deafness. Your knowledge grows, and you learn a new technique to sometimes yield additional meat while skinning certain creatures. Very neat. +5 finesse. Gain a small increased chance to gather meat while skinning certain creatures. +5 deafness, and you have honed your abilities, and your carving mastery increases the chances of yielding additional meat. So that's Meat Carver. And now we have Lure Crafter, which is a little new to skinning. I feel like it had some things to do with it in Legion. I don't recall if it did in BFA. I don't think it did. Maybe it did, but still, this feels new, in my memory at least. So we have Lure Crafter. Improve your ability to recognize and to gather usable morsels in the Dragon Isles, gaining a slightly increased chance to find morsels, love that word, while skinning per point in this spec. You have a chance to gather bite-sized morsels while skinning. Learn to craft a scalability mackerel lure. Very cool. So, scalability mackerel lure. Interesting. So, +5 deftness. Learn to craft 1,000 bite piranha lure. So that's where these recipes come from. +5 finesse. Gain an increased chance to gather bite-sized morsels while skinning. Learn to craft a temporal dragon head lure. +5 perception. Learn to craft a cerulean spinefish lure. +5 deftness while skinning. Learn to craft an aileron sea moth lure. That sounds pretty, whatever it is. Some sort of fish, obviously. Gain the ability to gather exceptional morsels while skinning. And learn to craft the Islefin Dorado lure. So that's that. So this is all about extra little stuff you can get, not just with your skins and scales, but the meats and things you can get too. So Baitcrafter. Specialize in crafting bait to lure out elusive creatures. Oh, right, this is that neat little thing I talked about in the recipe video. To lure out elusive creatures based on where you place it. This bait has a long cooldown, but the elusive creatures tend to have better materials when skinned. So this, again, reminds me of one of the good things of Legion crafting, well, Legion professions, is I liked the first iteration of profession world quests, and one of them, there was one for each gathering profession as well. One of them was for skinning, and it reminds me of the skinning one was for Fellhide, I believe it was called, and it was just this giant fellhound puppy thing that used a baby model, even though it was freaking massive, that, you know, you could go skin, and it would come out towards you and attack you and stuff, and it was kind of neat. This feels reminiscent to that, so that's very interesting. So what does this do? +1 finesse while skinning, and unlocking this specialization, learn to craft elusive creature bait. These have a long shared cooldown, so a shared cooldown, further clarification there, that is reduced by skinning creatures. Oh, okay. So it says it's not done yet there, but I like that. And will lure elusive creatures when used. These elusive creatures tend to be rather rewarding, so I like the anonymity there. Alright, we have that, and +5 deftness, learn a sub, +5 finesse, learn to craft bottled pheromones. Oh, I need a sip here, getting dry. The cooldown for bottled pheromones isn't reduced by skinning creatures, and does not share a cooldown with elusive creature bait, so that's good. Learn the final sub, +5 deftness, +5 finesse, and the amount of cooldown refunded for your elusive creature bait through skinning is doubled when skinning elite and rare creatures. Neat. Alright, so under Baitcrafter we have Elemental Infusion and Mastery. Let's read the Elemental Infusion, that sounds fun. +1 perception while skinning, learn to craft a Infusion Frost. Okay, so what's that mean? We learn to craft an Infusion Frost, alright. +5 finesse, learn to and craft Infusion Earth. The amount of cooldown refunded for your elusive creature bait through skinning is increased by a small amount. +10 finesse while skinning, learn to craft Infusion Decay. The amount of cooldown refunded for your elusive creature bait through skinning is increased by a small amount. +5 perception. And again, it's reduced by a small amount. And craft Infusion Order. Alright. I don't really know what those infusions 100% do, because those are here. That's right. That you can add them to your bait. They're a type of bait, and I think that's right. I had theorized that it will lure specific kinds of creatures, so you have more control over what you're luring. So, all right. So we have Mastery. The amount of cooldown refunded for your elusive creature bait through skinning is increased slightly. On unlocking this spec, the amount of cooldown refunded for your skinning elusive creature bait through skinning, I read that wrong, is increased. So, that is that. And we have, let's see, the amount of cooldown. Yeah, cooldown is increased while you're, let me just read it for you. The amount of cooldown refunded for your elusive creature bait through skinning is increased by a small amount. So it lowers your cooldown. That's a very wordy way of saying it. It reduces that. So +5 perception. More cooldown reduction while skinning. Your elusive creature bait can sometimes draw elite creatures that may yield better skinning rewards. Nice. Very nice. The cooldown again, +5 finesse, more cooldown stuff, and your skill at using bait has reached its peak. Your elusive creature bait can now draw in rare creatures at specific locations who can be skinned for a chance at the best rewards. So this is very neat. So that, it's very simple. I'm going to take tanning to help me there. But this is very interesting. Very simple. But that's fine. It doesn't need it to be anything super fancy. They can always iterate on this later. I really, 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 really hope that they continue this throughout the expansion instead of just a one and done like sometimes happens, and they add more to it. Like there's plenty of room in these little windows to add more. I would like to see these trees grow and become, you know, a little more complex. And you can pick and choose between certain things and then ultimately learn it all because you become a badass skinner after, like, you know, it's this old orc. He's a war vet. He's been skinning for 50 years. And you always go to him for the finest hides. You know, that type of RPG feel. I want that. And this is the very early stages of that. So, very simple. I will continue this, but, you know, you won't see that part. So, that's that. That is skinning. And that is both skinning and inscription. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. And as always, remember, it's never too latte.